again, I still can't read, so I'm kind of lost in all the words that are in front of me, but I'll do my best. So I'm here to grant another award for yet another Emory-invented therapeutic to treat COVID. This time the award goes to the DRIVE team to congratulate them on the FDA approval, or FDA granting emergency use authorization for MOLNUPIRAVIR for its antiviral MOLNUPIRAVIR. Congratulations to George Painter, to Greg BLUEMLING and Mike NATCHUS, David PERRYMAN, and David GUTHRIE on this award. So this award goes to the Emory inventors who were involved in an event that has a significant impact on Emory and Emory's community. So certainly a brand new antiviral that is treating COVID reaches far beyond just the Emory community. There's so much to say about this license. There's been so much work that's been done on this in the last 2 years. Getting it approved, or getting it authorized, and getting it onto the market. So I've had to pick and choose what to talk about. So I've tried to pick some of my particular favorite highs, and maybe some of my least favorite lows, so that we can walk through it. So EIDD, which is EIDD 2801, which is what it was called before it was named MOLNUPIRAVIR, was licensed to drive a very long time ago, and long before it was sub-licensed out to Ridgeback and then subsequently out to Merck. So because it was licensed to Drive, Drive is a separate entity from Emory, Drive handled the vast majority of the front-line negotiations with Ridgeback. So thank you to David PERRYMAN, who is sitting in the back row. He was probably my most direct counterpart, and he was the one who was handing back all of our red lines to Ridgeback. But I will say, even since we were the patent owner and the upstream licensor, we at Emory had plenty of work to do to keep us busy while this was moving forward. And that's true in part because this deal moved incredibly quickly. So this counter to what you just heard about the Lilly negotiation that took over a year, this deal was negotiated and signed in about 2 weeks. The negotiation started in early March, and it was executed on March 19th. So to put that into perspective, the WHO had just declared COVID a global pandemic 1 week before that on March 11th. It does feel good to take a breath and really congratulate the inventors and everybody who's been a part of it for a job well done. George?
Thank you, Laura. As said earlier, this is a team sport, and you don't get this done without teams, but I've been a drug developer for 35 years, and I'll tell you, this was an interesting one. Yes, there was a whistleblower complaint. It had nothing to do with MOLNUPIRAVIR and coronavirus. It was a political ploy. They could just get caught up in it. But in December of 2019, we were poised to file an IND for influenza with a secondary indication for treatment of highly pathogenic coronavirus. So we were spot on. We were ready to go under a contract from the NIAID. So I was at JP Morgan Healthcare Conference, and we began getting calls because scientists in China had identified the causative agent of a cluster of pneumonias as being a novel beta coronavirus. And Vinnie Painter, another alumni, was the chief medical officer there, and we believed we were ready to rock and roll. So I met Vicky Holman at the JP Morgan conference. We agreed to have a deal sitting on the floor in one of the hotels because we couldn't get a conference room. I called David PERRYMAN immediately, and we started this going. And it went really fast. So the license negotiation started in January. As Laura said, the license was concluded in March. Drive and Emory, we filed the IND, immediately transferred it to Ridgeback. We went to the UK, filed an IND in the UK, and I will to say that there was unprecedented real-time interaction with regulators in the United States and in the United Kingdom. So Ridgeback, led by this Wendy, we have two Wendy's, Wendy H and E, drove this through phase one. And I think one of the outcomes, and Laura spoke to people's concern, it was totally clean. Very well tolerated, safe, very good PK. They took it right into phase two quickly. A lot of collaboration with CROs and got through phase two and then moved to Merck. But all along the way, he was there. Wouldn't have made it without David. David Guthrie's here somewhere. He and I were in the conference room talking about prodrugs really early on. I think you remember that. So all of these people, all of the people at OTT that helped us when we were trying to settle with Merck, yes, it was Merck. That's difficult. Merck, difficult are sort of synonyms. But it got the whole thing going, and I think we were all quite moved when we heard that it worked. The first emergency use authorization was actually in the UK, followed by the United States. There's now more than 140 use authorizations around the world. I think there's pretty good evidence now, probably 36 to 48 hours out, the drug drives viral or down to nothing. No recrudescence after 28 days. So thank you everybody here. Saved us from ourselves a few times and the whole team. So the whole world. Thank you.
Yeah, I would just like to add a little bit to that and sort of highlight this guy, because this guy is a tremendous asset to Drive, to Emory, to EIDD. He's good at everything. And he was kind of the mastermind behind this whole thing. Of course, he brought Wendy Painter, his wife, along as well, who did a fantastic job. And I personally think of this a little bit like the Super Bowl. You don't kind of show up, score some touchdowns, spike the ball, and say how well you did. It's a 10-year process to build something. And I look out here and I see a bunch of people that were integral to that process. People from inventors, on down to the Office of Technology Transfer helping us, to the senior leadership at Emory. And I'd like to also point out Steve Sensor, because we had some lean times. 10 years is a long time to keep going. We had some other successes, but Steve was always there for us through that process. And in the end, too, I want to say, I see Chris Kirkland there, and our families, and our friends that are here, because, that's who builds the people ultimately. And there was a lot of ups and downs here, and those folks were always there for us. So really, I kind of think of, the great leadership of this drug, and then everybody behind it as contributors to its success. So just wanted to add thank you to that.